All right, welcome to the Erie Music History Podcast. I'm Chip Shell, your host, and my guest today has been mentioned on many, many episodes in the past 50-some episodes because he has played with many, many bands in town. He's also the guy who has the only nickname that's a single name, Jeff Toon Klahr. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Start with it. How did you get Toon as your nickname? It's one of the coolest nicknames. I mean, that's coming from a guy named Chip. I mean, it's way cooler. And how long have you had it?
I've had it since junior high school.
Okay. Which was where?
At Gridley.
Gridley, all right.
And we used to, our band at the time with Bob Berger, we used to rehearse at Bob Berger's house.
Yeah.
And he had a neighbor who was kind of a weird kid. He would come listen to us, and he used to give people nicknames. He gave Bobby the name Rheumatism, and Dennis Cohen the name Cordial. And he named me Toonage.
Okay.
And it got shortened to Toon, and it stuck.
Because people probably call you that now, right? I mean,
oh yeah, people from the old days.
Yeah. I mean, people on this podcast have been like, "Oh, and Toon played drums," and you know, I have to explain to the audience sometime. Like I always say, I have to explain what a derf is and a tune is. You know, so yeah, I mean. Bob Berger was one of the ones that, you know, had mentioned you, and you guys have known each other since second grade and back in, where was it, Gridley or Harding?
Harding.
Yeah. And, you know,
12 years old we were.
You were 12, yeah. And one of the things that you did, much like my last guest, Jack Bernard from the Dogs and plenty of other folks, but he provided me with a musical resume, first person, whoever did that. And then this week, you gave me the same thing, which is awesome because it cuts down on the amount of research I have to do. But I still did a bunch of research. And on your list, you said to me, hey, these are just the bands that played out or were played locally, right? You said to be on the list, they have to have done those things. And so you start in 70 with Happy Scab. Now, I want to mention, first of all, like I said, you've played in a lot of bands. So someone listening to this may be like, yeah, so what? So how many? So bands like Kelly Seller, Eddie C and the Bees, the Cows, Pistol Whip, the punk version, right? Kind of.
Kind of.
Okay. And of course, the Pulse, which was the big one of my favorite names, the Girl Scouts, the Moonlighters. I mean, if you're from Erie, you've heard of a lot of these bands. And Jeff has been in all of them, like I said. So, but all of that being said, I'm not the one who should be talking. But you started in 1970, but you're forgetting 1966. You're on freaking TV. You're on TNT, Teens and Talent. I mean, with the Beachcombers. What happened with the Beachcombers? You left them off.
Yeah, I started this in 1970 for some reason. The Beachcombers was the first band.
You and Bob Berger, Dennis Cohen, Mike Machina?
Mike Machina.
Machina?
Yeah.
What did Mike play? Keys?
Guitar.
Oh, so I thought Dennis played guitar too.
Two guitars, bass and drums.
Oh, I keep thinking of Bob. Right. Okay. Yep. All right. And so for people who don't know, Teens and Talent, tell them about it.
Yeah, it was on WICU.
Yeah.
And they had local talent on. Ben Agresti was one of the hosts, and they had a woman who was a host. And,
okay.
We were on it when we weren't even teens. We were 12 years old.
I was going to say, yeah. What was the Beachcombers?
I don't know where we got the name from.
Did you play anywhere other than on TV?
At Harding School for dances or assemblies or something. Yeah. We'd play, yeah.
And what type of stuff?
Beatles stuff, stuff that was on the radio back then.
Yeah.
We did Secret Agent Man on TV.
Oh, okay.
That's the one we sang, yeah. And stuff that was on the radio at the time.
Were you, now, this is, like I said, 1966, Bob Powers production, Channel 12. There were 4 acts, the Sound Barriers, the Vote Sisters, the Beachcombers, 3, and the Beachcombers. Now, I love these old ads because there's been other people, and he's got it right there. I've got it on my screen too. The funniest thing about this ad is, for you guys, it lists rock and roll. But the Vote Sisters, here's what the Vote Sisters get. Debbie and Joe and their folk songs. They're really great, too. It doesn't say that about you guys. I mean, did you remember, were you freaking out or going on TV?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. It was funny because Bobby's voice hadn't even changed yet, so he was singing like "Secret Agent Man," and so yeah, we were young.
And what was this one of those situations where it was recorded and then you could go home and watch it?
Yes.
Okay. So family sitting around watching.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big deal. I bet.
Oh yeah, it was.
Who's in your family? Any other musicians? I mean, music family or what?
My father was a drummer.
Oh, okay.
Which is why I became a drummer.
Sure.
Yeah.
In local bands or?
Just back in high school, he played the drums.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And no siblings that did the same thing or?
No.
No?
No.
So you're the only guy that got the bug.
Yes.
All right. And you got the bug pretty early.
The rock and roll bug.
Yeah, the rock and roll. I mean, was it one of those I saw the Beatles on TV scenarios?
Pretty much.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Yep.
You're a Ringo fan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So the Beachcombers, one and done? You know, a few, or not, I shouldn't say one and done. You played on TV, you played at the school a little bit.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's 66. Happy Scab, another one of the greatest band names, happens in 70. But the What For, you left them off too. Which,
Yeah, that was junior high.
Okay.
Like 7th grade.
And what was that? Same thing? Same guys?
Same kind of thing. Same guys. Yeah.
Oh, same guys.
Yeah.
Okay. And just played no Wyco at this point, right? Or junior Wyco or?
Probably not with What For.
Okay.
Probably the next year we might have played junior Wyco.
And we should say four is Four. And you have, I love these early band names, but your drumhead even has the logo on it. Like, who did that?
I think Dennis Cohen's sister did it. She was an artist.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure she did it, yeah.
Well, I'll include that photo. I had it from Bob Berger's episode too, but I think you may have sent it to me. I'll include that on your episode page too, because that is a classic. I love that one. Did that then, sorry, what'd you say? Junior high?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the What For became, in 8th grade, it became the 4th quarter. Yes. We added a keyboard player.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Who is that?
Bob Arcovio.
Okay.
On keyboards, yeah.
Now,
so we were able to play like Doors songs and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, how did that change the music? So,
yeah.
Was there, like, that's the stuff you enjoyed playing?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Still do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That 60s stuff, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. We should say also that I know Jeff is, like I said before, very musically knowledgeable. You know, even in doing some of my research, I would find that you won like a bunch of the newspaper history, rock trivia. And this week, it's Jeff Klahr won again, you know. And so you brought your scrapbook like a lot of folks do, and you've kept track of a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so
I have many scrapbooks.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's cool. We'll definitely post some of those pictures. So are we going to jump into Happy Scab or from the 4th quarter?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So tell folks about the Happy Scab and, I mean, the craziest name there is.
The Happy Scab was a bunch of hippies from Fairview, along with David Greenberger on bass from McDowell.
Oh,
and,
he went to McDowell, that's right.
Mark Dodge on guitar from Prep.
Okay.
And it was kind of a hippie band. We did Janis Joplin, Jefferson Airplane stuff.
We should point out you had a girl.
We had a female singer who played violin too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, there's 7 people in the band.
7 people.
Yeah.
Like 3 singers, I think.
and you sing too.
I'll sing back up. Yeah.
Okay. Throughout your career, it's just been backup, never lead.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Didn't want to.
No.
All right. So Happy Scab. You know, the one thing I've noticed in looking at your bandology, awesome name, is you're in bands for a year or two. A lot. I mean, Moonlighters, you're in for a long time. The Pulse, you're in for a couple years. But in and out.
Yep.
Why?
Oh, gosh. It's just the way it was back then, you know. The bands didn't last a long time.
Yeah.
People would go to another band or quit playing or
something. You weren't
something.
getting kicked out all the time. It was everybody was leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right. So Happy Scab, all you hippies are out there. In 1970, you're at Prep still, right? Or where'd you go to high school?
I went to Vincent.
You went to Vincent,
Yep.
so you're still in high school.
Yeah, the Happy Scab was between junior high and high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they played a few gigs out.
Yeah, we played.
Where at?
Played some high school dances.
Okay.
We played Hullabaloo.
Tell people about the Hullabaloo.
I have a story about Happy Scab at Hullabaloo.
Eventually becomes the alternative, and then
right.
gone now. But
it was our first time there, and we were excited to play there. And
big place.
yeah, so we got on stage. We were playing, and people were liking it. And our last song was "Volunteers of America" by Jefferson Airplane.
Okay.
And I used to have this fake plastic dog poop that I kept on top of my bass drum.
Okay.
So we started playing the song, and the singer, Chuck Bell, who's kind of a hippie radical, he grabs my fake plastic dog poop, holds it up to the mic, and says, "Do you people know what this is? This is fake dog shit. And that's what you are if you aren't hip to the revolution." And he used a few other 4-letter words, and we kept playing the song. And also what happened was the PA column got knocked into and fell onto the dance floor.
Oh.
So we stopped playing. And these rent-a-cops came up to the stage to see what was going on, and we were done for the night. And they had thought that the plastic dog poop was a crucifix.
Oh, no.
So they're like questioning Chuck about that.
Oh, my gosh.
And we never played there again. They didn't want us back.
And was that like, I don't know, was the Hullabaloo a 10 to 2 type of gig, or was it early?
It was earlier, I think.
Yeah, I wondered about
maybe
that.
10 to midnight.
Okay, all right.
Something like that. Yeah.
But it was just you guys. You weren't on like with 3 other bands or 2 other bands, or
I think it was just us. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So Greenberger eventually goes on to, he plays in Lou Tullio up in Boston, right? Or
Yep,
where he moved and everything. Some of those other folks, like Pam, how do you say her name?
And Verity.
Verity. Whatever happened to her?
She's played in like Irish bands around town.
Yeah.
I don't know if she still does, but
Like I told you, like I'm always looking for females to interview for the podcast because there weren't a lot of them back then that were playing and stuff. And this was the first I'd heard her name.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's interesting about you also is you played in a lot of bands with female singers, or a couple.
A few. Oh, yeah.
Moonlighters, even we're going into
Kelly Seller a little bit,
with Paula, you know. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, Kelly Seller, a lot of folks remember that band. Were you in it only for a year, or was that the extent of the first incarnation of Kelly Seller?
No, I joined in 1970.
Okay.
And played from 70 to 72.
Okay.
Pretty much was Kelly Seller.
And you guys played like in Erie, but out like in New York and stuff like that.
Bars up in New York State. Yeah.
What was the big one that you played up there?
Eagle Ridge.
Eagle Ridge. Right.
Yeah.
That's what I always.
And Snug Harbor Lounge.
Oh yeah.
Up the lake.
Yeah. I think that's not still there, but
it might still be there.
It might be. Yeah. Where was Eagle Ridge? People mention that all the time. Was it in Clymer?
It was right up from Mayville, I think.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. And did it have was the stage up high?
Yes, it was. We had to carry a Hammond organ up and down that stage. Oh, my gosh.
As a drummer, I mean, it probably sucks having to lug all your stuff. But when you get a guy with a Leslie and a B3 or something, that must really suck.
That's what it was.
Yeah. All right. And so at this point, even with Happy Scab and Kelly Seller, you're just in a cover band, right? These are all, you're not doing originals yet?
Happy Scab did a couple originals.
Oh, yeah.
And Kelly Seller did a couple of originals.
Okay.
It's mostly covers, yeah.
Do you have a preference? Like you've played in about half and half of, bands that do both.
I like both. I mean, a good song's a good song. You know?
I mean, you've played with some strong front men, over the years, and we'll get to, some of those. I mean, I didn't know if it made a difference for what you're playing or if you enjoy it more. I'm not sure. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter to me. No.
Good song's good song.
Right.
All right. So Kelly Seller, a band I didn't have on my list, Hefty. I mean, these are great names. Come on. You're still with Bob Berger all this time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Except for the Happy Scab.
Happy Scab, right. And John Drum has entered the picture also with Kelly Seller, another longtime Erie musician.
Hefty, I guess Camp Cibolette left Kelly Seller.
Okay.
So Bobby and John and I started Hefty.
All right.
And we got Paul Fortin on guitar to play.
I've heard his name too.
Yep.
And what was Hefty? What type?
A little bit maybe rockier than Kelly Seller. We did some Stones and Faces and T-Rex stuff. And
Yeah, are you the type of guy that remembers like all that stuff?
I do.
That's what I thought.
Remember songs and
Yeah. Got old set lists?
a couple.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Yeah.
I have one here in this scrapbook. I'll show it to
All
you.
right, cool. Yeah, yeah. So Hefty doesn't last long, and it goes into some other crazy band names that I didn't know about.
Yeah, that's basically Kelly Seller again with Bob Tome. We added Bob Tome on guitar at times.
Been on the podcast, yeah.
Sometimes it was just Bob Berger, Bob Tome, and I. The three of us. So we played various gigs with various.
Was that called Hose? Is that really what it was called?
Yeah, we called the band Hose, Loxley Hall, Kelly Seller. Sometimes it was Tome, Berger, Klahr.
Yeah. Hose has got to be a tough one to be in. I don't know. All right, 3 dudes. Yeah. Who was coming up with these names, by the way?
I don't know.
No?
Wasn't me.
It was probably Greenberger for Happy Scab.
Probably was.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so in and out, again, this is the early 70s. When do you graduate, Vincent?
72.
72. So this is also the time when you start being what I call like a journeyman drummer. Like I told you before, like when people need a good drummer, it seems like you're one of the guys that they always call. And obviously Eddie C. and the Bees did that back in 72, 73. Very popular band. You were not the original drummer, but you filled in. Who was in the band then? Do you remember?
Gosh, I don't remember everybody's name because there was horn players. And,
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Right.
Bob Berger and Dennis Cohen were in the band.
Okay. Yeah. No, I had Greg Palmer on, and he was the same thing. He was kind of in and out.
We played at Erie Stadium they had an all-day concert in 1972. It was Canned Heat was the headliner. Spirit played. Foghat played. A bunch of other bands. We were the first band to play with Eddie C. and the Bees.
The only local band, probably.
At noon, we played.
How was that? I mean, was anybody there?
A few people.
Yeah. Still, you got to say you played.
It's kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah. Over the years, did you end up doing any other opening acts with national acts?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like who?
With the Pulse, we opened, Robert Palmer.
Wow.
And,
where was that?
I was in Harrisburg.
Okay.
The Warner with Head East. Nice. The Warner with Michael Stanley.
Oh.
Those were the concert openers.
Yeah.
We opened for Cyndi Lauper at Molly B's.
Oh, when she was in Blue Angel?
Right, when she was with Blue Angel.
Oh, okay.
And we opened for John Hyatt up in Buffalo at a club.
Really?
Yeah.
All with the Pulse?
All with the Pulse.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get to the Pulse, obviously. One of the best bands to come out of Erie, I think. The giant Pulse banner still in your basement?
The Pulse
banner?
Oh, the Pulse sign? The Pulse
sign
sign is in Jeff Berger's house.
Oh, it's at Jeff Berger's house. Okay. All right. I've seen the picture. I didn't know where it was. All right. So again, you're filling in for another popular band, the Cows. I told you before, the Cows come back each year to Erie. And this year, for those of you keeping track, August 18th at the JPT Center, the Cows will be playing, and that will include Dickie Buckle, Ron Guzik, and on drums, Joey Salarino, who you filled in for back in 74. How'd that come about? I mean, was it just one of those?
Yeah, Joey injured his wrist and couldn't play for like 3 months, so they got me to play.
And at this point, you weren't really in a band, right? Because you were.
No, I was actually a student at college in Cleveland.
Oh,
and so I think this with the Cows gig was during the summer. Yeah. Because it was only like a month or two. That I played.
So the guys you have listed there, you have Ronnie's brother, Dennis on there, Bill Arnold, one of the best guitar players in town. I mean, were all those guys there then? Because I know they've been in and out of the band.
Yes, they were all there.
So you had Dickie and Bill on guitar, Bob on bass, Ronnie on keyboards, and Dennis just singing, or was
Dennis just sang. Yeah.
That's a classic Cows lineup. I mean, that had to have been fun.
Oh yeah, it was lots of fun.
I mean, what do you remember anything from those gigs? Because I remember people would bring toy cows and whatever. I mean,
I don't remember. I remember every Sunday we would play up at Bemis Point, the surf club in Bemis Point.
Sure.
Every Sunday night we would play up there.
Oh, cool. All right. Brew pub now.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. I've played there. Yeah.
Have you really?
So you mentioned, with the Pulse, obviously, you traveled around a little bit. The Cows, okay, we're talking about New York. Same with Kelly Sellard. Were you in bands that traveled far? I mean, other than the Pulse?
The Swingers. When we were in Chicago, yeah, we traveled.
Did you live in Chicago with the Swingers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so tell folks who was in that band.
Swingers was
Bill
actually Pistol Whip without John Drum and me on drums. So it was Rick DeBello, Jim DeMonte, Bill Cotter, and myself.
Okay. So the poster I told you that I have is of you.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. It didn't look like you. You have a lot more hair.
It depends. I only played with them for about 4 months.
Okay. All right.
So it could be a different drummer.
And the Swingers were a original band, mostly.
Mostly, yeah.
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 Did they ever play in Erie?
No.
No. Okay. All right. And so it's one of DeBello's hundreds of bands that
Yeah.
he's had over the years.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, we're jumping around. I understand that. But, you sent me a great chronology here. Again, after the Cows, Pistol Whip. So I mentioned earlier there were 2 different Pistol Whips in town. One was sort of an R&B band, and then one was the punk band. Is that the best way to describe them, or new wave?
Kind of.
New wave?
Well, yeah, the Pistol Whip I played in was half R&B band, half glam rock band.
Okay.
I mean, we would play Mata Hoople and New York Dolls, but we would play Sam Cooke and Otis Redding at the same time.
But when I had Jack Bernard on, he talked about the Whipettes and being
that was actually before I joined them.
That's what.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the same band, just
probably more R&B. Yeah.
more R&B for sure. Yeah. So this is one of those seminal bands in town that people always remember, and I know you did some reunions and everything over the years. Tell folks who's in Pistol Whip.
Pistol Whip, when I was in the band.
Yeah.
Bill Cotter, John Drum, Paul Tatera, and myself.
And were you the original? Oh, no, we just said that.
No.
But so how did you get into this band?
They asked me to join.
Jack left or something like that? Or no, Jack
wasn't drumming.
Jack was playing bass.
Yeah, he wasn't drumming with them.
That's right.
They had a guy named Artie playing drums.
Okay.
He left. They got me to play.
Okay, all right. So again, we know this dude.
Right. Exactly. Because I played with John and Kelly Sellard.
All right. And you mentioned before you were in college in Cleveland?
Mm-hmm.
What did you go there for?
Business, accounting.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So you weren't like pursuing music.
No.
This was a hobby on the side.
Yeah.
And you were playing a lot probably.
Yeah.
Like what's a lot?
I mean, while I was in college?
Yeah, I mean, throughout these early 70s, you're in a lot of bands. You're in a band every year.
Well, a lot of them were just summertime. But,
okay.
But with Pistol Whip, I would come home on the weekends and do gigs with.
Really?
With Pistol Whip, yeah.
Okay, all right. And so again, it's a band a lot of people remember. What was it like being in that band?
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was a great band. It was a lot of fun. I do have a Pistol Whip story I want to tell.
Tell it, yes.
We somehow, Paul Tatera, Italian guy that he is, got us a gig at the Calabrese Club.
Okay.
The Italian club up on 16th Street.
Right.
So Paul and I went up early to set up.
And this is 75
This was like 74 probably.
So this is past, the Ruby Port days
right.
When it was super popular back then. Now it's probably coming into, we're trying different stuff.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So we went there early to set up, and it's a private club. So we knock on the door, and this big bouncer guy comes to the door, and we said, "Hi, we're Pistol Whip, the band tonight. We're here to set up." And he goes, "Oh, we don't want you playing here." We said, "What?" He goes, "We heard you guys are queer, and we heard you got a black guy in the group."
You gotta be kidding.
And he used the N-word, not black.
Right.
And Paul and I just looked at each other and said, "Okay."
Wait,
that was the end of that.
Wow.
It probably would have been a disaster anyways.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, that is a memorable, you had quite a reputation at that point already.
Yeah, I already had a reputation, right.
Where else were you playing back then? Was MJ's even a thing then, or no?
No, we were playing...
Norb's wasn't even a thing.
Played Edinburgh a lot, like Edinburgh college gigs, because Paul and Bill went to Edinburgh at the time.
Was like the Evergreen there then, or no? Probably.
We didn't play there.
No? Okay.
We played a lot of
Frat parties.
Frat parties, right.
Then how did people come to know you?
We played around town a little bit.
Okay.
We had we played at Antlers
Oh, all right.
a few times.
Didn't know Antlers had
Yeah.
music. All right.
Yeah, played there.
That was a very Gannon bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. How about like Goofy's or any of those places? I mean,
They weren't open yet.
They weren't even here yet. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I wondered about, again, should I say punk? Should I say new wave? I mean, you were leaning that way. I mean,
Yeah, more the glam rock.
Glam rock at that
Of
point.
the earlier
Yeah.
70s, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't know what bars catered to that. I mean, Sherlock's was...
Yeah, we didn't really play too many bars. We were playing parties and
Okay.
college gigs and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
All right. And but then you get a gig. Were you filling in with JJ Coco / Reel to Reel?
That was a summer gig, yeah.
That was a summer gig. Reel to Reel played at Bethwick's, I think, right?
Bethwick's, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
In the West Area Plaza.
right. And they were pretty. I mean, eventually Victory. Yeah, they turn into Victory, right?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. But that is way different than playing in Pistol Whip.
Yeah, it is. Quite a bit. We were more of a top 40 thing and
Okay.
dance music and
Yeah.
yeah.
The people
Trying to make some money, I guess.
I was
you know?
going to say it seemed to be probably more lucrative. Why was the JJ Coco thing? Was that the abbreviation
Yeah,
of the
that
names?
was right. It was the JJ was Jeff Berger and Jeff Klahr.
Okay.
And the Coco was Bill Cotter and Dennis Cohen. So JJ Coco, yeah.
Okay. All right.
And that turned into Reel to Reel. I guess Bill and Dennis left, and we got Paul Gall and Marty Lee
Jeez.
to play.
Both play for Donnie Iris
Right,
now.
right.
Yeah. Right. Oh, okay. So that they joined. All right. So I'm seeing the beginnings of the Pulse.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's the first time you're playing with Marty.
First time I played with Marty.
Yeah. All right. So you're filling in, or were you part of the original band?
I was part of the original band.
Oh, okay. All
yeah.
right.
And then I went back to college, so.
Because Reel to Reel was around for a little while. And like we said, it evolves kind of into Victory, which again has a good stint at, I keep saying Bethwick's, but they probably played other places too. I mean.
Yeah, there was a place in the Liberty Plaza, Gaslight Lounge.
The Gaslight, right?
Yeah, played there. Played Bethwick's a lot.
How was Bethwick's?
That was great.
I mean, what was it like?
It was a popular place. We used to play every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday.
Really?
Almost every week.
Okay.
for quite a while, yeah.
So, and what were you getting paid back then? Do you even remember?
I don't even remember.
No? I mean, it was
It's okay, but...
It was
nothing.
10 to 2.
Right.
Yeah.
10 to 2, 4 sets, 3 or 4 sets. You know.
Right. Did you, at this point, did you have a regular job or no? You were still in college?
At that point, I was out of college by the time of Victory, so I did not have a regular job.
Okay.
I was living with my parents. But
All right. So, good extra cash.
yeah.
Yeah. Victory is in 76. That's again Bob Berger, his brother Jeff, George Pushkar on guitar, and then Kevin Bensick, who's been on the...
Yeah, Bobby went back to college.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Kevin Bensick joined, yeah.
Okay. And then Scott Kuhn joins at the very end
Yep.
on keys,
Yep.
Which replaced... So at this point,
Jeff-
Bob and
I
Jeff...
think Jeff moved here, or he might have gone... Oh, he went to college, too.
He went to
for
college
a while,
too?
yeah.
Okay. So that band, again, I mean, you're playing top 40. You don't have, crazy guys kicking you away at the door for various reasons. People were welcoming bands like Real
the bar
to Real
owners
Victory.
liked us.
Yeah, right, yeah. Were you wearing outfits? Did you have dress code?
Not really.
No?
No.
I didn't know. And with guys like Bob in the band and Jeff Berger, really, I mean, and then even when Kevin, I mean, those are good singers.
Oh, yeah.
Were you singing backup still?
Yes.
Yeah? Always?
Not all. Well, sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in all these bands, like,
Yeah.
it was understood that you were going to be a backup singer.
Yeah.
All right. This one I don't know about. Oreo? Or,
Oh, gosh.
how do I say that?
Oreo, yeah. That band lasted a week.
Love it.
I joined the band, and we played 6 nights at the Ramada Inn.
So 6 nights in a row, and
Yeah.
then you're done.
Yeah, it was Preston Lindy on guitar.
Fantastic
He was
guitarist.
a great guitar
Yeah,
player,
right.
yeah. And we had a female vocalist, and
Carmela Basham.
Carmela, yeah. She
Never
was
heard of
she
her.
was good, too. And then I guess Preston just didn't want to have the band anymore, and that was that.
And game over. Had
Yeah,
you
game
practiced
over.
and everything? I mean,
Yeah, we rehearsed. Yeah.
yeah. Because I was going to say, you went from band to band to band to band, and there wasn't a lot of time in between. But if you were only doing it in the summer, I can understand. Then
Right.
you'd have time to rehearse, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. I mean, I usually ask this question at the end, but I'll ask at this point. Favorite places to play back then?
Oh gosh, I mean, Bethwick's was great.
I mean, I know the Calabrese Club.
Yeah, God. I don't think I ever played there with anybody else. Yeah, Bethwick's was a fun place, and in the early days, Eagle Ridge was fun back in the day with Kelly Seller.
You played like some festivals and stuff too over the years too, right?
Yeah. Back in the with Kelly Seller, there was festivals going
Like
on.
summer festival of
Right.
the arts and stuff like that.
Even like out of town festivals.
Oh.
Where they'd have like all day and all night festivals. Kelly Seller played a couple of
Oh,
those.
cool. All right.
Bikers hanging out and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So that was fun.
Was there an Erie Days back then, or was that too early? Probably.
Might have been too early.
Yeah, I know the Summer Festival of the Arts was a big thing back then, and
Pulse played at Summer Festival of the
It
Arts.
did.
Yeah.
and like they used to have music in Perry Square. I mean,
Yes,
people
yes.
would just. Did you ever play down there?
Yes.
Anything?
Yeah.
Because I know John Ems had talked about even like in those days, they just have a few people get together. And,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I always like to ask that question, like favorite places to play and worst places to play. Were there any that you didn't like playing?
Not really. Not that I can remember. I always liked playing.
Yeah. Yeah, like Ramada Inn, when you're playing with this Oreo, like that to me is one of those lounges that is very typical of the mid to late 70s music. You eventually joined the Moonlighters, who are booked in lounges everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
This Ramada Inn is the one on 18th or no? Or,
That was the one out by I-90. there.
I-90.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Any difference playing places like that? I guess you could. I mean, Bethwick's was more of a bar, not really
Right.
a lounge. But I mean, was it a different clientele? Did you care? It was, they like to dance.
I'd probably rather be a smaller bar than a lounge.
Yeah.
But depends, you might make more money playing in a lounge.
That's what I figured. Okay, so how does it evolve into the Pulse? What happens? Preston's like, hey, we're done after a week, and you're going to Bob, or what
Actually,
happens?
before the Pulse was, I was in the Swingers.
Oh, so you went to...
Yeah.
So,
In 78, it was the old Pistol Whip.
right.
Without John. And we put together the Swingers in Erie, and we took off for Chicago.
Why?
Pistol Whip had played out there before,
Okay.
and they had a booking agent who had gigs.
Yeah.
And so we had gigs. We knew we had gigs when we got out there.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Pistol Whip had done well out there. They kind of had a name for themselves. So we went out, actually played under the name Pistol Whip sometimes, other than the Swingers.
Yeah.
But we played a bunch of gigs as soon as we got there.
Why did you change the name?
I think Rick just wanted to change the name.
Something different. Yeah. And were you all four living out there
Yes.
together? Band house?
Crashing wherever we could. We didn't have a place
Yeah.
to live.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've talked to Tim McLaughlin, Steve McConnell, guys that, moved out of town to play, and it's feast or famine, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
No regular jobs when you were playing out there?
Nope.
How long were you there?
I was there 4 months.
Okay. All right.
We traveled a bit, too. We played Iowa,
Oh.
clubs in Iowa, Southern Illinois. We went to Minneapolis and
Okay.
played.
And what are you traveling in?
We got a van.
In a van.
Yeah.
That's it, man. You're living the life.
Right out.
Yeah.
On the road.
You got a degree at this point in business administration,
Yeah.
and you're
I'm rocking.
You're hanging out with DeBello and Cotter in the back seat of a van,
That's right.
living the life. And the Swingers are playing a combination of what?
It's pretty much a punk band.
It is a punk band at this point.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that was new for you.
Kind of, yeah.
And does that change your drumming?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How so?
You got to play faster. But no, it was fun. I liked it.
You did.
We played some good places out there.
Like what? I mean,
Right after we got there, we played at this good, really nice club with the B-52s. They actually opened for us.
Oh my God.
And they were great, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go on after them because they were so good.
And this was before they were famous.
Way before they were famous.
Yeah.
But they were still great. They're like, you know, like the B-52s.
They had the bouffants and everything.
Yep. They were great.
Wow. Do you remember? Did you meet them? Or?
Yeah. I remember talking to Kate.
Yeah.
And I asked her, do you have a record out? She goes, we got a 45. Because then, you know, they're from Georgia.
Yeah, right.
She was really nice, yeah.
That's cool. Wow. Yeah, I was going to say, it must have been tough being in Chicago and just, I mean, what'd you do all day? Rehearse? Or did you have a place to rehearse?
We didn't have a place to rehearse.
Yeah.
Sometimes if we got to a gig early, we would go over a new tune or something.
Yeah. And do you write any music yourself?
Do I?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So of the bands that you've been in,
I might arrange a song, but I don't write them.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like I always think of Rick as being a master writer, and you know,
Rick and Bill a little bit too. Yeah,
right. Okay, so 4 months. What's the decision that you say, "Hey, I can't hang anymore"? I mean,
it's funny. I got a call from Bob Berger while I was in Chicago to come back and play with the Pulse. You know,
okay,
and then I initially turned it down because the Swingers were doing pretty well. You know, we were playing a lot. We recorded.
Yeah.
We're going to put out a 45. But then, you know, it got to be October. I'm thinking, do I want to be in Chicago in the wintertime?
Yeah.
Without a place to live.
Yeah.
And with little money, you know. And I called Bob back and said, still need a drummer?
I mean, at this point, when you say to join the Pulse wasn't even a band yet, right? I mean, because they didn't have a drummer.
Well, they had a band, Fabulous Nobodies.
Oh, yeah, right.
And they were like a lounge band.
Yeah, they were a total lounge band, yeah.
And Bobby wanted to change it to a rock band.
Yeah, that's right. I remember.
So that's why they kind of called me to play.
Okay, all right. So in Chicago, you're literally living in an apartment or living in hotel rooms and stuff like that, or motel rooms? Or?
Crashing with friends.
Yeah.
More often. Yeah, on the road or in a motel.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. All right. So you come back home, live with your folks.
Yes.
Yeah. And the Pulse, you're practicing where?
Bobby Berger's basement.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. His folks' house, yeah.
So where you had his comfort.
Yeah, it's back to the 60s.
Yeah, right. All right. And so at this point, he's like, hey, we're going to do a lot of originals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And did you like them right off the bat, or, I mean, how was it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Bobby he had a bunch of great songs.
He sure does. I mean,
yeah.
He knows how to write a hook.
He does.
Yeah, I mean, he's just good stuff. And
he really does, yeah.
This is you reuniting with Marty Lee.
Mm-hmm.
So was it one of those things? It gelled right away. I mean, a lot of people talk about being in bands, and it took a little while, or I knew right away these guys. I mean, granted, you've been playing with Bob since you were in 6th grade, you know, and
yeah, it kind of did gel right away. I mean, you know, when I first joined the band, they were kind of still a lounge band. We still had gigs where we had to play that kind of stuff.
Oh,
and
did you have to wear the tux and everything?
No, we didn't wear the outfits.
Oh, okay.
But we played some Holiday Inns, you know. And,
oh, right.
And we had told our manager we wanted to play in Florida during the winter, so he booked a bunch of gigs for us at rock clubs in Florida.
Oh.
But we had a gig at a Holiday Inn in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, for a 2-week gig at the Holiday Inn. So, so what we would do, we would play our top 40 stuff, you know, from 9 to 1, and then at 2 o'clock in the morning, we'd come back down to the lounge, learn a whole new set of material of rock songs to play
the next
when we get to Florida.
Oh,
you know?
really?
Yeah.
Oh, they would just let you practice.
Yeah, they'd let us come down to the lounge and rehearse. Yeah.
Wow.
So we learned a whole new set of rock stuff.
And is that when you learned the majority of the Pulse stuff, or?
Yeah, a lot of the originals, some of them.
Yeah, you're working them out at 2 a.m.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably more covers back then. You know, we were doing trying to find rock songs to play.
Yeah. All right.
Stuff that we like Springsteen and Elvis Costello and some Leonard Skinner, just because we were going down south. And
so I've seen the picture of you guys on the slide and everything in Florida.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is that when you went down to Florida, or was that later?
Taken in Florida?
What's that?
Was that picture taken in Florida?
I thought it was.
It might have been.
Yeah, I thought someone said it was, but And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I'll include it in the episode page for Jeff, but it's on the Bob Berger page too. There's like 6 guys because I think John Farr's
in the picture
too.
Yeah.
And,
I remember the picture.
Yeah, you're on a slide in a pool. Was that trip, you think?
Could have been, yeah.
Yeah. And what happened down in Florida? Did you play a bunch of gigs in the winter?
We played a bunch of gigs. We've done that for almost 2 months.
Oh, okay.
Well, the whole trip was 2 months, I think. Played a bunch of gigs and played Atlanta on the way home.
Okay.
It went well.
And obviously it went well. And then you come back to Erie, and is that when the songs start getting played on the radio?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure when the songs started getting played on the radio. Maybe later in 79.
Okay. And we're talking about You Want to Know Why primarily,
Right.
and then a little bit
of Soul.
A little bit of Soul
Yeah.
comes out after you broke up, kind of, right?
In the final days.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That was a later song.
How was that being in that band at that time? I mean, hearing your stuff on the radio. I mean,
It's kind of cool, yeah.
I'm sure it was, yeah. Was it validation in some respects? I mean,
it was in the top 10 on Jet and K104.
Yeah.
That's really something, yeah.
Were you doing like radio interviews and stuff back then, or?
We did a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're very nonchalant about this, but that was a big deal back then.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think I mentioned we played the Summer Arts Festival.
Oh yeah.
Down at Perry Square and with the Pulse.
Yeah.
And this is when the song was on the radio. Jeff Berger started playing the little intro to You Want to Know Why.
Yeah.
And there's just like this roar from the crowd. There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just couldn't believe it.
I'm in a band.
These people really know this song.
Yeah.
It's really something else.
That's cool. Where's that video that I've seen so much of you guys playing? It's at a local club. Is it Emmy's or is it
Molly B's?
Molly B's.
Probably.
That's where it is. Yeah.
There's some stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
From Molly B's.
Yeah. That has a really good, it's a good indication of the type of band you guys were and everything. Right. When was the last time you played You Want to Know Why or any of those songs?
I played a little bit of soul.
Did you? With Bob?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Well, get this. Bob plays with Max Weinberg.
Sure.
And they were playing up in Cleveland.
Okay.
So I went up to see him and went backstage before the show to say hi to Bobby, and he introduced me to Max.
So if you don't know, I'll interrupt. Max Weinberg is Bruce Springsteen's drummer, and he has a touring band that Bob Berger is part of, as are the other members of the Weaklings. And basically it is, you go to this show, and it's like a roulette wheel of songs. They don't know, the audience gets to pick it. And so they have to be able to play it right then and there, right? Okay,
Right.
So lots of fun.
Yeah. So I go backstage before the show, and I meet Max. Bobby's telling Max, "Oh, we played in our first band together," and Max asked me, he goes, "Well, do you still play?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You want to come up and play a song later?"
Holy shit!
I said, "Sure." So they have the roulette wheel of songs.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the roulette. What song do I want to play?
Yeah.
And I see Stepping Stone, by Pleasure and the Raiders.
Wow.
I'm Not Your Stepping Stone and the Monkees.
Sure.
I go, I want to play that one. So they call me up in the middle of the set. I jump up on stage, and Bobby goes, "Let's do a little bit of soul." The song that the Pulse did. Right?
Yeah.
So we played that one.
Oh, cool. How was that? I mean,
it's great.
You got to play Max's drums.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah.
Really fun.
One thing I didn't ask you, you're the guy, like I said, people called, they needed a good drummer, one of those guys, When you weren't drumming, which was super rare, who were the other guys in Erie that you really respected as drummers or you'd like to go and see?
Steve McConnell was great.
The Animal himself.
Joey Salarino is great.
Yeah.
Rick Lopez is
Rick Lopez. Okay.
He's one of my favorites, yeah.
Played with Field Theory, I think.
Field Theory and Blood Pudding.
Right.
With Joe Pop.
Yeah. We didn't talk. Who taught you drums?
Well, I first took lessons in grade school.
Okay.
From the music teacher.
Just the music teacher at school.
And then I took lessons at Markham's for a short while with a jazz guy.
Okay. What was his name? Wasn't Flip.
It wasn't Flip. It was, I can't recall his
That's
name.
right. Yeah.
But, and then pretty much everything I kind of taught myself,
Okay. Yeah.
Play along with records when I was young. And
was your dad still playing at all when you were young?
No.
No? Okay. All right. Yeah. Gotcha. All right.
He could still play.
Yeah.
With some sticks, he still could do it.
Were they in that crowd that was singing along to the Pulse that night?
Might have been.
Yeah,
They probably
yeah.
were, yeah.
Yeah, they were supportive of.
Probably. Yeah, they were.
Yeah, that's cool. So the Pulse is a big deal for a couple years.
A couple years, yeah.
Yeah, and then you get back with DeBello and the Girl Scouts,
Yes.
which I've heard so much about. So it's you and Bradley Harrington, a great bass player. Scott Murray.
He's from Chicago.
I was going to say, I don't know Scott. What were the Girl Scouts, aside from an awesomely named band for 4 dudes?
It was a lot of original stuff.
It was?
Yeah, because Bradley and Scott wrote songs. and we would play Erie in Chicago. Half the time in Erie, half the time in Chicago, and then we would hit Detroit, Cleveland.
Oh,
we kind
okay.
of did the Great Lakes tour.
Yeah.
And it was a good band.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Didn't last too long, or did it evolve into the Twisters?
No, it lasted about 9 months. The band split up.
All right. And was that the last band you played in that was doing the Chicago thing? It seems like whenever you're with DeBello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the last Chicago band, yeah.
Okay. And then you joined the Twisters for 4 gigs. Again, at the Pickwick Club with the first guest I've ever had on the podcast, Christine Eugenio.
Yeah.
Love her. Great bass player.
From the Generic Beat.
Right. And her and Hermie and Ken Krantz. The Twisters, weren't you guys like a 50s?
It's an oldies band.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
Like 50s stuff, yeah.
Yeah. How was that?
It was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I only played 4 gigs with them, but
At the Pickwick.
the Pickwick Club was at 12th and State. It was a basement club
Downstairs.
Downstairs,
of the
yeah.
Commerce Building.
And we played 1 to 4.
Holy
1 a.m.
shit.
to 4 a.m.
And there were people.
Oh yeah.
And how often?
It's like an after hours place.
Was it weekends or was it not during the week?
It was weekends.
Okay,
yeah.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. So how do you get into the Moonlighters at this point?
After the Girl Scouts split up, I got a job at National Record Mart.
Oh, okay.
So I actually had a real job.
Yeah.
Which I loved because I was a big record collector. Spent all my money on records,
So throughout all this, you didn't have a regular job.
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. So it's 82.
Yeah, it's 82, and
You've spent the 70s drumming.
pretty much, yeah. And so I'm working at National Record Mart, not making any much money, and I got an offer to join the Moonlighters.
Yeah.
And they were playing like all the time, 6 nights a week.
Yeah.
And they were traveling at the time.
Yeah, right.
And, I took the gig,
To quit the National Record Mart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I quit the day job, and actually, the Moonlighters was probably the only band I ever made money with.
Oh, yeah.
Because we played so often,
Right.
5-6 nights a week.
Who did you replace? Because you weren't the original drummer.
Kevin Olson. was
Kevin
the
Olson.
drummer before me. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so tell folks who was in the band when you were in it.
When I joined the band, it was Tim Popotnik on keyboards,
Right.
Tony Farrar on guitar, Steve Witkowski on bass, and Wendy Stevens on vocals.
Okay. All right. And so earlier, though, when Tina Sales was there and Peggy was there and Rhonda and all them, those were...
Yeah, Wendy left for a while.
Oh, that's right.
She had a child.
She had a child.
Yeah.
Right.
So we had like 3 other singers in between.
Yeah.
And then Wendy came back. So.
Okay. All right. But you're with them for a long time, like 7 years.
6 years, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
82 to 88.
Okay. And that's all you did. How often were you playing? I mean, Tim's been on the show, so has Tony. A lot.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah.
5, 6, sometimes 7 nights a week. We played Holiday Inn, I think it was like 23 nights in a row or something like that. It was crazy. Holiday Inn downtown.
Downtown. Yeah. Holy cow. I mean, when you play that much.
You want a day off.
You want a day off. I was going to say, is it just, it's road at this point? Is you playing the same thing? I mean, it's...
Yeah.
I always ask people, who talk about playing 7 days a week. In Erie, people were going out on a Tuesday night or a Monday night, and you played late.
Yeah.
And they were.
Yep.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Crazy to think that today,
Right.
Unfortunately, yeah. Okay, so yeah, I love this. Is that you? We Love Erie Days with the Moonlighters?
Yeah.
That's you on stage? All right. Tony's got the short shorts on. Oh, no, that's not Tony. That's Steve, I think.
Yeah, we played We Love Erie Days.
Yeah, all right.
Used to play the every New Year's Eve at Rainbow Rainbow Gardens.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good gig. Yeah.
Yeah, what was, of all these you've played over the years, was that Pulse gig at We Love Erie Days or whatever the biggest crowd you ever played to?
Probably one of the biggest.
Yeah. I mean, for Erie gigs,
Probably
those
was
usually,
one of the biggest crowds.
Yeah, those are usually some of the bigger ones. Like people talk about like Discover Presque Isle are huge or stuff like that. But yeah, anything
Probably
downtown.
was.
So you go from 100% cover band, really? I mean, the Moonlighters, right? To playing at the end of the 80s, which is where we wrap it up for this podcast, back with DeBello playing in the Cattle Cruisers, but you're doing some originals in there, right? Or is that
A few.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously country themed, right?
Yep.
What type of stuff?
A lot of old country stuff.
Like
when I first they got together before I joined the band, and I went to hear them. And I was getting into country at the time, like the old stuff and some of the cool new stuff, and they were playing all that stuff. And I told Rick, I said, "I love your band. I want to join. I want to play with your band."
Yeah.
And a couple weeks later, he goes, "You want to play? You're in."
Wow. All right.
So we played old Hank Williams and Johnny Cash and Patsy Cline and then we did some of the cool new stuff like Dwight Yoakam. It was really fun.
And you're playing with Rick DeBello and Danny Smith.
Yeah.
Two of the best frontmen ever
Yeah.
from Erie. And so is Tim Popotnick in the band all the time?
No, Tim would show up at Norb's once in a while and play keyboards.
Right.
And,
okay.
Yeah.
And
even played accordion a couple times.
Tim knows how to play accordion.
I know.
Yeah.
Tim's great.
He is. And then Medicine Man's playing pedal steel guitar.
Yeah, we added.
Dombrowski.
It used to be a 3-piece band when I started.
Okay.
And then we added Medicine Man.
Okay.
Like pedal steel.
And you mentioned Norb's, obviously, because I know the Cattle Cruisers played there a lot. Where else did you play?
We played. We played clubs around town, the Beer Mug and places like that.
Right.
And we've also played some of the country jamborees.
That's what I was wondering. Did you?
We played some of those.
Like the Best Western even, it would be a country bar.
Right,
and
we
stuff.
played a jamboree up there.
That is, to me, a big departure for someone like Rick DeBello or even Danny Smith, playing country and everything. But they liked that type of stuff.
They liked it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And we were different. People didn't always like us at those country jamborees.
Oh, yeah.
But it's funny because the older people would like us because we played the older country songs.
Yeah. And you weren't doing them different with a punk flair or something.
Sometimes. But not all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. And then do we end up the 80s with the Bohunks? Is that what happens?
Yeah, the Bohunks, I think, must have happened like kind of when I started the Cattle Cruisers. It didn't last that long. We played a few gigs.
I was going to say, I remember the name.
Yeah, we played a few gigs. It was Bill Cotter, Graham Scott, and Justin Canopa on bass. But then I got so busy with the Cattle Cruisers playing every week at Norb's. And
what was the Bohunks? What type of music?
It was like rock.
Oh, okay.
Rock stuff.
All right. And you played at Norb's a lot over the years.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Oh, I love Norb's.
The tiny stage.
It's a tiny stage.
I mean, are you a gear guy? I mean, do you bring a lot of drums?
No. I have a pretty spared down kit. Yeah.
Always have been?
Always have been, yeah.
Yeah. All right. And that wraps us up for the 80s. After that, do you continue to play over the years? Because like you said, now you don't play that much.
Yeah, the Cattle Cruisers lasted quite a while. I mean, we played through the 90s.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We played actually played our last gig in 2013, I think.
I didn't realize that. Wow.
Near the end, we weren't playing much. We'd play a handful of times during the year.
Yeah.
But in the 90s, we played quite a bit.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right.
And on top of that, I started doing some theater stuff.
Oh. Acting or playing in bands?
Playing in bands.
Oh, okay.
Playing, musical theater. I knew Scott and Kim from the Roadhouse Theater, and they wanted to do the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That's right. I've seen the picture of it.
So
yeah, I was in the audience, man. I love that.
So Scott said, "Well, put together a good band for me." So I got Rick and I got Graham Scott, and then we had Ray Riley on bass, and we did a whole bunch of shows at the Roadhouse for the Rocky Horror. It was really fun.
I bet, man, that must have been
a lot of fun. And then we did, that was 92. We did it again in 98. And on top of that, we did other musicals, cabaret and
Oh, okay.
We did the Patsy Cline, Always Patsy Cline.
Oh, yeah, the big one on with Amanda.
With Amanda Post.
Yeah.
And that was a big
Warner, right?
Yeah. I mean, it sold out the Roadhouse for 8 weeks, and then we took it to the Warner.
Yeah.
And it sold out the Warner.
I didn't even know it started at the Roadhouse.
It started at the Roadhouse for 8 weeks, selling out every night.
And that was a few years. Didn't she do that? Or
yeah, we did. It went back to the Warner like a couple of years after. That was 98 the first time, and then I think in 2000 we did it again at the Warner.
You were always in the band?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Was it the same band?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I think we a couple different keyboard players.
Rick played in that band?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, Rick was playing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big deal. I mean, playing on the Warner stage, how was that?
Oh, it's great.
Granted, like you said, you played there with the Pulse
Yeah.
and opening for Head East or whoever and everything. I mean, that's a big stage.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Was that the biggest stage you've played on? Or?
Probably.
Yeah. And so these days, like you said, you play a little bit at church.
Yep.
And that's it. You're cool with it.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah. That's fine. How old are you now?
I have to think, 69.
69. Yeah. All right. And so you've had your fair share of playing in different bands. Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Can I even ask like a famous or a favorite, or did you have favorite bands? You liked them all.
I liked them all. I really did.
How about original versus cover?
I like a good song.
So that's what you said in the beginning.
Yeah.
What were some of your favorite original songs that you guys did over the years?
Oh gosh, a lot of Bobby's songs. And, and the Girl Scouts had a lot of
that's what I wanted.
Good originals.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Those two bands had the best original.
Aside from the Calabrese Club experience, other worst gigs like equipment failure. We had a speaker fall down. You talked about. I've had that happen myself. I mean, any other crazy fights or any getting kicked out early?
I told you about going to Florida and playing in Winston-Salem on the way down. Well, they had a huge snowstorm the night before we were supposed to leave. So it took us forever to get out of the parking lot because we were in a lower parking lot.
Okay.
And of course, we weren't dressed for winter. I had sneakers and we had to shovel all these cars out, and it was just terrible,
Yeah.
My feet were just like frozen. And then we had to drive to Florida, and
yeah.
And then we got to Georgia, and they had a big ice storm there, and they closed the highway. So we had to spend the night in Georgia. We finally got to Florida, and we were on the beach in Naples, and it was the hottest spot in the nation. And so that was probably the worst experience of that snowstorm in Winston-Salem.
No crazy road stories with the vans breaking down in Chicago or anything like that, or
not really. No.
You really lucked out.
I have been pretty lucky.
Yeah, you've had a good run. So.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing all these stories with us today. I mean, you're one of those guys, like I said, everybody mentions. So, Jeff Klahr, thank you for being on, and we're going to take a look at this cool scrapbook. And like I said, I'll post some of the pictures on your episode page.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool, man. Thanks. Hey, thanks for listening to Season 6 of the Erie Music History Podcast. Just a reminder that I do host a music night on the first Tuesday of the month at the JPT Foundation's Events Center. It's on West 38th Street in the plaza that's next to Our Lady of Peace Church. Starts from 6 o'clock, goes till 9 o'clock, totally free. BYO everything. You can bring in alcohol, food. There's a great pizza shop next door. There's a Subway in the plaza. We, of course, have our house band, the Fabulous Leftovers. They play for an hour, and then usually we open it up to an open mic, or we have some other prearranged acts that follow the Leftovers from probably around 7:15, 7:20 till 9 o'clock. So check that out, first Tuesday of the month. Thank you to the JPT Foundation for continually supporting this podcast. I appreciate it. Also, thanks to my buddy Angelo Phillips, who also threw us a few bucks for helping support the podcast. I appreciate that. You can go to Patreon if you'd like to contribute, or there's a Venmo also. You can find all of the episodes right now on any of the platforms that you listen to podcasts on. I have not been updating the actual website for the podcast. But you can also see the photos of the people that I interview for each episode on Facebook under Erie Music History Podcast. All right. Thanks a lot.